The starbound gardens had grown silent in anticipation. The miniature dragons perched along floating vines, crystal petals, and shimmering water ribbons, sensing something shifting. Even the primordial dragon, Lumen, seemed restless, its prismatic scales dimming and brightening in rhythmic pulses. Arin, Lyra, and Ciro stood together at the centre of the gardens, holding hands as the Atlas pulsed faintly beneath their feet. Its glowing pathways hummed like a heartbeat. But one path had changed. It was not just a line anymore, it was a motion, a ripple, a stepping pattern that no dragon, no human had ever seen before. It's like the map wants to move itself, Lyra whispered. The Cosmic Elder's glow shimmered in response. It does more than want. It is alive in ways beyond comprehension, and it has called something forth. The stories take shape. Before their eyes, the air shimmered. Tiny motes of stardust began to swirl. Each mote expanded into shapes, dragons, creatures, even landscapes that seemed to walk in the air. The primordial dragon tilted its head. These are stories, but they are alive. Indeed, the Atlas had begun to release its essence. Myths, legends, and forgotten tales from countless worlds materialized into physical walking forms. Miniature dragons recognized some revered ancestors, long-lost cousins, and creatures of elemental power whose names had never been spoken aloud. One figure, larger than a granite dragon but smaller than a child's arm, shimmered with starlight and shadow. It moved with purpose, yet it was imperfect gaps in its form, flickering with possibility. That is the Story Keeper, the Cosmic Elder said. It preserves knowledge, experience, and dreams. But until now, it has been bound. The Story Keeper knelt before the children. Its voice was soft yet resonant, filling the entire garden. You are the first to witness my awakening. To guide me, you must walk through what stories are made of and what they become when they live. Walking through tales. The children and miniature dragons followed the Story Keeper. The Atlas beneath their feet rippled, creating paths of light. Each path was a story, a forest where leaf dragons and emberlings collaborated to grow impossibly tall plants in seconds, the trees reacting to laughter and curiosity. A frozen plateau where granite dragons learned to shift and flow instead of cracking and breaking, teaching children about resilience. Rivers of starlight where water dragons carried entire miniature civilizations on their backs, flowing through impossible channels of memory and imagination. Every story they walked became interactive. Every choice, every motion reshaped the path and altered the creatures within. This is how the Still Expanse can learn, the Elder said, through stories that move. The smallest dragons, glowwings, seed-scale dragons, and pebble-sized crystal drakes led the way. Their motions were unpredictable, yet the Atlas responded perfectly. Balance was no longer enforced, it was co-created. The challenge of the wandering silence. Yet even amidst growth, danger loomed. A thin shadow moved across the edges of the Story Keeper's realm. It was not solid, not tangible, but it swallowed motion and light wherever it touched. The wandering silence, whispered Aurelian Shardwing, a fragment of the Still Expanse. It has learned to follow. The miniature dragons formed a protective circle. Leaf dragons spread their wings, casting vibrant green energy over the paths. Granite dragons extended their rock-forged bodies into barriers. Lumen radiated calm, balancing the light pulses of the Atlas. The wandering silence tried to halt the flow of stories, but the children had learned from the past. Motion cannot be stopped when guided by life and curiosity. Ciro stepped forward. Then we walk it together. And so they did. Each step they took wove new threads into the Atlas, new nodes into the map. The wandering silence shrieked if shadows could shriek but could not consume the ever-growing patterns of living stories. A meeting of all miniature dragons. The paths widened. Every species of miniature dragon in existence appeared. Leaf dragons, delicate and green, dancing along the edges of new gardens. Granite dragons, steady and enduring, forming bridges over gaps of uncertainty. Moon dragons, gentle and luminous, scattering soft light over shadowed areas. Stardust dragons, born of cosmic particles, whose forms were constantly shifting. Emberlings, tiny fire breathers whose warmth brought frozen stories to life. Even the primordial dragon Lumen adapted, flowing between forms to reflect the other species, teaching them through action rather than command. The Story Keeper hovered above the paths, watching as all dragons and children worked in harmony. Every motion became a lesson. Every lesson, a living story. The Atlas learns to walk. The Atlas itself began to change. No longer a map, it became a continent of stories. Each node, a living world connected by trails of possibility. Paths expanded, branched, folded, and moved independently, as though the Atlas itself had taken its first steps. Tiny dragons ran across the trails, leaving bursts of energy in their wake. The primordial dragon carried children on its back, weaving through airborne nodes. Even the moon dragon, usually aloof, danced in arcs above glowing platforms. The wandering silence tried to pursue, but now it could not keep up. The Atlas's growth was self-sustaining, fueled by creativity, curiosity, and life itself. Aurelian Shardwing spoke. You see now, stories are not just told, they live. They walk, breathe, and connect worlds. Even silence cannot conquer that which is animated by wonder. Lessons for the cosmos. The storykeeper bowed before the children. You have awakened the Atlas, not as a map, but as a living guide. Every world connected here will thrive if it allows its stories to move, to change, and to grow. You are now keepers, not just of balance, but of imagination itself. The children realized the truth. They were not simply adventurers or protectors. They were catalysts, sparking growth in worlds that had never known movement or choice. And the Atlas responded. Trails shifted again, forming a glowing, intricate network that stretched beyond the Starbound Gardens, beyond Celastoria, into the cosmos. Somewhere, the edges of the Still Expanse pulsed faintly, but this time, curiosity, motion, and life were already spreading toward it. Lumen chirped softly and curled around Aaron's wrist. Are we done? Ciro asked. Not even close, Lyra replied. We've only just begun. And now, the stories are walking with us. Above them, the dragon-shaped star shone brighter than ever, no longer a guide, a symbol, or a warning, but a beacon for the universe to see possibility in motion. The miniature dragons chirped, sang, and danced along the newly formed trails of the Atlas, each movement writing new legends into existence. And somewhere in the vastness beyond, new worlds began to stir. The saga continues.